Alrighty, so I'm back. Yes, okay, so live video, everything happens. And of course, because we've just moving house, we've still loads of deliveries coming. So sorry about that. So like I was saying, my next guest is coming later this afternoon with a few tech issues, but don't we all? And so I'm just going to come on quickly for about 10 minutes and carry on with the 5 things I was talking about that you need to think about when you're creating video. So we talked about lights and sound, and also when I was talking to Ian Anderson Gray there earlier, he has a really great podcast video cast with Michelle Levitt from Hail Sound, and she goes into a lot more depth than I have about the types of microphones you need. And we talked about that how sound is pretty much the most important thing when it comes to video. Strange to say, but as Ian said, people will forgive you for a bad video, but they won't forgive you for bad sound. So I'm hoping that it's not too echoey in here and that my pop guard on my microphone is helping with that. Next, I talked about lights. Didn't get to show you all my fun lights because when you're using lights, it's not just about lighting you, it's creating interest, it's creating an emotion, it's creating depth. So you can add like more lights. And I have a video on the video visibility lounge and talked about different kind of interest lights. So I think I showed it in the video as well. It's my disco light, any excuse. Disco light to add some more interest. More lights would be strip lighting. So in the background, I haven't obviously put this up for my new office, can add that depth as well. So it gives more interest to your video and it's not too distracting. So it's really important when you're adding all these things that they're not distracting from your audience's participation or your audience's concentration for your video. Another light I have is my ultraviolet light. Like I said, any excuse, but it's something that you can use and added extra. And then also something quite easily, and please forgive me, an eye's gone missing. It's just the wee light box. And again, that's something that you can have with batteries in the background to continue with branding of your business. When you're talking to your audience about your products and services, you can also have those branding setups in your background, and that includes the lighting. I think that's all I have sitting around to show. So the next thing I wanted to move up is like your pre-setup. So when you're doing films, when we talked about strategies earlier, have a plan of action. I have an interview with Dylan Osborne later on, hopefully today or over the weekend. And we talked about his approach where he didn't necessarily have a point by point plan, but he had an idea of what he wanted to shoot. So when you're thinking of doing a video, whatever it may be, if it's a documentary, if it's a testimonial, if it's a product review, if it's just an educational piece, think of what you are filming and then write down a shot list. So then that way you know all the different takes that you want to make, and you can also film them the way it makes sense. It might not be in chronological order for the film, but it might be in the best way it makes sense for filming. So if you have that shot list, then you can tick through it. Like I say, if you were doing an event review, you'd maybe have photos or videos and photos of the event itself, but also testimonials. You're not going to do that event testimonial. You might have interviews at the start, interviews in the middle, interviews at the end. So there's a lot of different ways. But if you have that shot list, which will include B-roll, which is just a filler video, that also allows you the capacity to think, right, I know what I need to do, go through it methodically, and here are all the shots I have that I will need when it comes to the editing process, which I'm going to talk about later with Justina and a little later on now. So if you have a storyboard as well, it shows you, again, some people don't use a storyboard, but for some people it's a really big help. Basically a board where you follow along a story that can either be point form or even a doodle form, a picture form, but then you can see how the story of that video is going to run. And then in conjunction with your shot list, it will help you with the filming process and keep you on the right track and not filming manically going, oh, I want to get that, I want to get that, oh, that looks good, which you can do as well as an added extra. But don't forget your B-roll, so sort of filler video, like people walking in or sitting down at the desk or turning on, filling a cup of tea. All YouTubers use this, all marketers will use this, and it just adds a wee bit of interest instead of just a straight talking video. So something like when I come online at the start, there's my phone drops. So I have this. I had at the start, which is just a quick and easy video that I've just uploaded to Restream and added some graphics over the top, my branding, and it just breaks up the talking head bit, although I know I'm talking a lot. So the next thing for a pre-setup is your tools set it out in front of you. So the night before, the day before, you set out, you have all your cameras, all your lenses, all your lighting, all your rigging. So things like if you were having a sheet put up in the background to block something out, sort of rigging so that you have these to attach to, or something like if you wanted to film on your phone or your camera, you can use a sort of a gorilla type mount or an octopus mount, because then these can attach wherever and make it easier. Your tripods, having all your lights, and then there is a really great tutorial on LinkedIn for lights that I followed as well and got a lot of ideas for that, as well as your microphones. Testing all your batteries that you need and all your lenses are clean. I have filmed, and I know we've all filmed, and after you've done the filming, you've realized at the edit there's the tiniest little bit of speck of dirt. Check it beforehand. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was editing, and I'll get into a bit more depth with Justina about this. So when it comes to actually putting all this together, how do you do it? What software can you use? And if you can't get all the videos you need, is there a place out there that you can get it? Well, yeah, there are so many different levels of editing suites, from Filmora Wondershare and Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, Resolve, vMix, which can Avid, which professional levels, down to something like UCut, Filmora Go Wondershare on the phone, and all these mobile versions. So you can bring your videos in, you can bring your graphics, your logos, your branding, audio and B-roll, as well as stock, and put it together and then edit it all together using those suites where you see them in levels and they lie in the levels that you see them. So some can be behind, and then you can fade them out to give a more transparent view to make your logo appear more like a watermark, or you do that, right? So something like that you can add on with a moving graphic along with your logo as well. Also in the editing suites, there's things like transitions. So say how one scene moves from another. Do you want it to be like a swipe across, or a fade out or in, or a swirl out or in? There's so many different transitions just to make the change from one scene to the next slightly different and give it a bit more interest. It might not even be a different scene. It just might be a jump between one sentence to the other. So I have this screen here, and I might zoom in and zoom out in the edit. So simple things like that just lift your video up and make it slightly more interesting. Also in there, you can add sound effects if you want to add sound effects. Pete and Andrew, who are Atomicon, and they do this really well in their videos, although I know they have a videographer, VA, that does it for them. And they're brilliant at their videos, adding wee funny bits and graphics and sounds. It makes it really interesting and really fun as well. It can also be done in more serious ways too. But places like this, like stock places, so you've Cover, Pixabay, I had a list here to go through some, Place It, Mixkit, Pexels, Getty Images, there's so many out there, and it's also the same for photo, video, I was going to say animatrons. You can tell it's Friday afternoon. Animations. You can also use Placeit to create your own logo if you don't even have one, and moving graphics. So say you wanted your graphic to come in and swoop out of its own. You can do that and create that in the likes of Placeit. If you wanted to film your actual desktop while you're trying to explain something, there are other tools like Veed in video, Screencast-O-Matic, Loom, other things that I spoke about there earlier on. And then there are the likes of, when you're talking about access and diversity and inclusion, is a big thing. If anyone knows me, it's a big thing for me. So to be inclusive, to have everyone have access to your information and your videos, subtitles, not only are they something people expect because they want to read, but it's the inclusivity piece. People with hard of hearing or are deaf, then they are able to consume your product or service and the information behind that. So there's Subly, Clips, Clip-O-Matic, Otter AI, Capwing, all of which are great. And then there's also the automatic ones that are produced. YouTube has automatic caption creation. Facebook, Instagram have some tools like that. Do bear in mind, though, you will need to maybe go through it and edit a bit, especially when you have funky accents like mine, or just your style of speech makes it hard for AI to pick up what you're saying. So unless you have been very well trained and are talking very slowly and very pronounced pronunciations, you need to go over your subtitles and just check that they're not something slightly weird. Let me see, was there anything else I wanted to add? So yeah, they were all the extras. Next, I think after this afternoon's session with Justina, we'll talk a bit more about that. I am going to go over just some extra things that you want to do once you've created your video, edited it, you're happy with it, about the uploading of it to whatever platform that might be. And I have a few examples of people that do that really well, who I also follow and get information from too. So hopefully that is some good points to you. I'll have a few more as well as that. If you've any questions, head over to ava-ni.com or send me an email at gail@ava-ni.com, and that's GAYLE, just to be different. Let me see if I can get the details up quickly for you. So just there, if you want to send me those questions, whether you're watching this live or later on, far away, I will answer your questions or find someone who can. Feel free. And I will join you this afternoon and won't take up too much more of your time because it's Friday. And if you're in Northern Ireland like me, it's lovely and sunny and you want to get out there. But anyway, thanks very much for joining me, and talk to you later this afternoon.